My name is Kelly Rauch. I'm a keeper here at the Greensboro Science Center, and I'm the lead keeper over red pandas, Maine wolves, giant anteater, and second for tigers.
My name is Macy Anderson, and I am one of our lead keepers. I work with the okapi, southern ground hornbill, binturongs, and howler monkeys.
My name's Bekah.
Yeah, it is.
I am the PR and digital marketing coordinator for the Greensboro Science Center.
Hello, I'm John Rossi. I'm a touring drummer with a passion for animal conservation. When I'm on the road, I spend as much time as possible visiting zoos, aquariums, and conservation organizations. Now, I want to share those places with you. I'll be talking to keepers, vets, conservationists, anyone who can help me in my mission of connecting my people to animals through their people. Join me on my Rossifari. Hello, 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 and welcome back to the beginning of the end of the third season of the Rossifari podcast. Y'all, I've been trying to do shorter intros on these interview episodes, but today that ain't gonna be the case. We have a lot to talk about. So first of all, this is the next to last episode of season 3 of Rossifari. Now, for those of you who are new to this whole seasons changing thing, literally nothing is going to change. I just break it up. 1 year is one season. A, to document the passage of time, and B, because I find that if I do seasons, then new listeners feel like they can jump in at a smart spot instead of looking back and saying, holy crap, there are over 300 episodes of this thing. I should never even try to jump in and understand what's going on. So yeah, it doesn't mean much. But one thing that I always try to do is end each season and start each season with some really cool, really high caliber episodes. And we have definitely accomplished that goal this time around. Those of you who listen to Zoo News and those of you who follow along on Instagram and Facebook, that should be all of you, by the way, hit up at Rossifari. But anyway, you know that recently I have started something that is nothing short of a love affair with the Greensboro Science Center. The people there are incredible. The stories from there are amazing. And it just so happens that as I connected with this incredible crew and facility, they were going through a bit of a baby boom. Whether it's the new bintlets that are there, the baby binturongs, or the pandlets, that's what I like to call baby red pandas, or the pygmy hippo, or even the little stingray. There's just been a lot of really cool births happening there, and babies are always exciting. And yeah, it just timed out really well that as this facility kind of came to light on the podcast, all these things were happening. And now here it is, the first of the 2 episodes from my first visit to Greensboro. But actually, this is a lot more. So let me explain. This all got started when I was planning my trip down to Florida earlier this year and trying to visit a bunch of facilities for the podcast. I was unable to connect with anybody at the Greensboro Science Center, and I really knew that I wanted them on the podcast. I really have enjoyed my time there when I have visited in the past. So I used some online connections that I have with some keepers to eventually connect with somebody named Audrey Stallings, who I'm just realizing now I still don't think I've gotten to know. Audrey was very interested in connecting me with some people, but actually happened to be off that day. So she took my email address and gave it to some keepers, and I showed up at the Science Center, and I didn't really know what was going to be happening. But I thought, worst case scenario, I would go hang out at this cool zoo, and best case scenario, maybe I would meet somebody or bodies. And so that led to me getting an email from just a really cool person named Macy Anderson, who is one of the names that you heard at the beginning of this podcast, but she was also out that day. But then I heard from another really cool person named Kelly Rauch, who you also heard at the beginning of this podcast. And she was like, hey, yeah, I can totally meet with you. Let's hang out at the Panda exhibit. And it was not hard to sell me on that idea. So she showed up and she brought this person named Bekah, who you also heard at the beginning of this podcast, who is the PR and digital marketing person there. And I have to admit, I normally go about connecting with facilities in a more professional way, rather than, Facebook messaging and getting an email and trying to connect and, I hope this works. I think I might have come across as a little desperate. And so when Kelly showed up and was like, hey, this is Bekah, I was like, oh, hi, please don't hate me. I'm sorry I did this weirdly. But Bekah was awesome. And we instantly all clicked and we hung out and talked for a while. And, Bekah was very interested in the podcast and having me back. So we worked it out so that on my drive back from Florida, I was able to stop and I was able to connect with Kelly and with Macy and with Bekah again. And we did an interview. And we went and we saw some animals and got cool behind the scenes content. And more than that, I think we just kind of all became friends. It was really cool. I've talked about this on the pod a lot, but like those moments where I really connect with people at zoos and we become friends are some of the most important things to me about this podcast. It's just really, really special. And this was one of those moments for sure. And so I left and I did the Florida thing and I did the interviews, some of which you've heard and some of which you will hear down in Florida. And then I winged my way back up to the Northeast and stopped at the Greensboro Science Center on the way. And one of the interesting things was that Kelly really felt more comfortable doing the interview with Macy. They are good friends. You'll hear all about it. And so it turned into one of those two people interviews that I like to do. Bekah's also really good at grabbing my microphone. So it kind of turned into a 3-person interview, but that's besides the point. Anyway, and so we did this and we went and we got this cool content, behind the scenes at various places at the facility. And, y'all, then the binturongs that Macy takes care of, they had the bintlets. And so I went back and I interviewed Macy more about that. And then they announced that the red pandas, the very red pandas that you were going to hear me hang out with on this episode, had cubs as well. And so I went back again and I talked to Kelly more about that. And suddenly I found myself with a ton of content over multiple time periods from both of these amazing people. And I thought, man, if I make an episode out of this, it's going to be like a 2-hour-long extravaganza, which could be kind of fun, but also, we all have lives, right? And so I really thought long and hard about how I wanted to do this. And what I decided to do was I actually broke up the interview that I did into 2 separate interviews. The questions that were aimed mostly at Macy are all in Macy's episode, which will be dropping next week. And the questions that were aimed at Kelly are all in this episode, which you're listening to right now. And it mostly worked really well. There were a couple of weird times where I asked a question to Kelly and then turned to Macy and said, how about you, Macy? And so you're gonna notice, if you're a really keen listener to these 2 episodes, that there are times that I had to cut and paste questions in, and they'll sound like I'm asking the same exact thing word for word twice, but I'm not. I just wanted to make both episodes make sense on their own. It was a lot of work editing wise, but I think it's really cool and really fun. So this week features Kelly, and we're talking about red pandas and some other really cool stuff. And what you're going to hear is my interview with Kelly while Macy and Bekah are there and participating, and it's kind of fun hearing all of that. And then you're going to hear me going and visiting 2 of the red pandas at Greensboro Science Center, and you'll get to hear more about the pandas and hear about what it's like being on exhibit there and all that cool stuff. And then you're going to hear my interview when I went back with Kelly and we talked about the new panda cubs. So this is the first time that we've ever had an episode that has just multiple parts from different times, and it's really cool. And I think you'll really hear the progression of the relationship as well as just some really cool stuff about some really cool animals. I'm really excited to present this one, and I really hope y'all appreciate it for what it is. So I have rambled on much too long. So without further ado, here is my interview with Kelly Rauch. and assisted by Macy Anderson and Bekah Robinson of the Greensboro Science Center. Tell me a little bit about like what got you into this industry, and did you always love animals? Did you know you wanted to work with animals? Where are you from? All that good stuff.
They call me like the everlasting Kelly here because I was born here and I will die here.
I'm like, actually part of the SSP breeding.
Yes, I am. I told some of the keepers they just need to roll me out and call me like Granny Kelly out in the goat yard. We aren't talking. But I grew up volunteering here and coming here when I was younger. So at 13, I started volunteering here. I did my senior project here in high school.
No way. What was your senior project here?
Just zoology. I was just like holding animals and not really being a good volunteer, that's for sure. I look back at the pictures and I'm like, oh, not a good volunteer. But I was a teenager, so come on. So I grew up volunteering here, and then I went to the Davidson Community College program. I guess it's Davy now.
Yeah.
So it's changed names.
Did they just want to be like less formal, or
I don't know. And then did internships here, and then I got hired, and I've worked here for 12 years now. So quite a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. And so then you've been here, especially like to see all of the progress and all of the changes.
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
I remember, the first time I came here was before that whole big expansion, and it was great. It was awesome. And the pandas were in the exhibit. I believe it's a hornbill exhibit now.
Yeah.
And, plenty of room, plenty of stuff. Very, very cool. Well done exhibit. But man, when things opened up, things really opened up.
They did the pandas right.
Yes. So I know that a lot of the people who are listening are tuning in specifically to hear about pandas. So let's start off by talking about the pandas that are currently here.
Okay. So right now we have our male Tai, or Taji, as his real name is. We have our female Usha, and then we have their offspring Ravi, who was born last June. So those are our 3 pandas we have right now.
And Ravi has a really unique story and is also like, social media famous.
Yes.
And,
thanks to Bekah, Ravi is very famous. But Ravi, unfortunately, Usha doesn't make good choices as a mom. So the SSP actually asked us to hand rear him. Usha was trained to do ultrasound. And so we knew that there was only one offspring in her, which is, more unique for pandas to only have one offspring. But we still went forward with hand rearing. Unfortunately and fortunately for pandas, there weren't any other pandas to be hand reared this past year because we were hoping we could do a joint hand rearing thing because it usually goes better. But Ravi is pretty well adjusted for being a singleton. And, in the future, he might go off and make his own breeding situation. But he has been such a joy to work with. So much hard work, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. That's for sure.
I bet. And talk about his personality, because it is big. I can only think of one panda that I have seen that has a personality that I would argue could match it, which is my buddy Bandit, who was at Columbus and is now at Henry Villas. But I've never seen, with that one exception, personality quite like his.
I don't know where he gets energy from because, as everyone knows, pandas are lazy and sleep most of the time, but he still has this abundant energy that people, if you go to our zoo and you walk down to the red panda exhibit, you'll see a flock of people always watching him because either he's playing with his stuffed animals or he's playing with sticks, running around, jumping. He's wild. I don't know where he gets it from, but definitely not his parents.
Yeah, on the way down here when I met y'all, he was playing with a stuffed animal with his front paws and a stick with his back paws at the same time. And I posted a video of that on Instagram, and I don't even understand how that's possible.
Lots of talent. I love him.
Such a huge personality.
Yes.
What is he like in one-on-one situations?
So it's if you talk to a lot of people who've hand-reared pandas, like a lot of carnivores, they can kind of get overstimulated really quickly, and that can lead to aggression, where they just don't know where to put their energy, especially with singletons, unfortunately, which was the main reason we were hoping for a second panda. But we kind of took a step back at that 4-month mark when we were noticing his overstimulation was turning into aggression. And I think that really helped because now we're back at where he's pretty easy to go in with. He trains well. He'll play with us. And we kind of watch him to make sure when we notice he's getting overstimulated, we back off. He does seem to do much better if it's a one person in with him versus many people, because you can just see his brain is like firing and he's like, I've got to do something. But he overall, he's a great boy.
Nice. That's very cool. Now, I'm curious, you mentioned that he might leave at some point for a breeding rec. And I personally think y'all should just build another, kind of area for breeding here. Because, honestly, they're like, all joking aside, I know that does cost money and I get all of that. But like, and we'll talk more about the exhibit, but like, it's really a great area. There is room for expansion and stuff. Like it's what y'all have done here is really cool. I love seeing a facility that is a small but mighty facility go to a still small but like even mightier facility. And my friends at Elmwood Park Zoo in Norristown are actually doing something very similar right now. There's a couple-year master plan that is like blowing my mind.
That's awesome.
And one reason I'm so encouraged about what they'll be able to do is having seen it here, which is not a place that I thought could have done something so big so quickly.
Exactly.
Just based on size.
Yes. Our director's a go-getter and he's not going to stop. So it's been really nice. And I think that's why I've stuck around the Science Center for so long. It's because we're never stagnant. We're always changing, which can be exhausting, but it's always something new. It's something fun. Because I feel like in my career, which has been just at the Science Center pretty much, I've got to work with tons of species because we're always changing. So it's really nice.
That's really cool. And then we talked about Ravi a little bit, but talk about the personalities of the parents a little bit.
So Ty, I like to say Usha is our big bully. She is the queen bee and Ty knows to kind of stick out of her way. So definitely when Usha's coming around, Ty is getting away from her. So they're kind of, it's weird because when they were in their old exhibit, everyone loved them because obviously they're cute and they're fun. But they were kind of lumps on a log. And I hate to say that, but in this new area, this bigger space with indoor access, they've kind of become a lot of people's favorite because they seem to have so much more personality with more room to play and climb. And they've really shown it's been great to work with them in this new space for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. And before we move on a little bit here, let's talk about the space.
Okay.
Like, can you describe, this is the fun of having an audio podcast about cute animals and cool facilities.
Yeah.
That's how my brain works. I thought that was a good idea. But anyway, here we are. Yeah. So can you describe this, like what the setup is like?
Okay. So I don't know square footage because I'm terrible at that. But they have...
It's big.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. They have a really large holding space with 3 separate runs. 2 of the runs actually back up to a off-exhibit holding space, which is great, outdoor space. And then they also have a den run, which we use for birthing and was really helpful with Ravi. So there's a lot less climbing structures in there. We have an indoor exhibit, which is quite large. So it's air conditioned. They can get up high with rock work and planter boxes. And we've kind of perched it up so they can get up high. And then they have 2 really large outdoor exhibits with an overhead. And people love to watch the pandas walk over them to cross over to the other exhibit. Luckily, the trees are growing up that were planted a few years ago when we opened. So it's getting really lush down there. And the pandas really seem to love it. So it's a great exhibit.
Yeah. And you have an indoor viewing area on the one side as well, which is really cool.
And that's been a game changer for us because pretty much when it hits 70 degrees, the pandas need to be inside because especially Ty has had some health issues with being overheated in his old space. So it's nice that we always know there's going to be a panda on exhibit, even in the hot summer North Carolina days. Which are a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It's very cool. And the bridges that go above, it's just such a cool thing.
It is awesome.
I remember when we were talking, so for those listening, I stopped here on the way down to Florida and was able to make connections with people that then led to this interview that's happening on the way back. And it was kind of just me being like, hi, I'm here. People come meet me. And And I kind of just forced myself on these lovely individuals and was like, hi, love me. But everyone was very sweet. And we all met right at the Panda exhibit. And so I was trying to talk to them, but also really distracted. Because Ravi was being really cute. But at some point, I'm sitting here and I'm pitching. And I'm like, hey, I would love to come and come on the way back maybe and do an interview and feature y'all on my podcast. It seems like, I love it here. It's such a great place. And I glanced up above me, and Ravi had been on the ground playing with a stuffed corn cob. Yeah. Like it's a stuffed like squishmallow almost of a corn on the cob. And at some point in the 30 seconds that I was talking and not looking, he had ran away from his corn on the cob, grabbed a green octopus, taken it up to the bridge above us, left it there, and had returned to the corn on the cob. But I know that the octopus wasn't there before. And I missed it, and I don't know how that happened, but I think that describes Ravi really well.
Yeah.
I remember I stopped and I looked at you guys, and I was like, how'd that was down there?
An everyday thing for us.
Yeah, you were not surprised at all.
He's a ninja.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Yeah.
What a ball of energy. So, Kelly, you mentioned that you've been here quite a while now, and that you've gotten to work with all kinds of different species here. So talk about kind of your progression here.
Oh, wow. So when I started working here, we kind of worked with everything out in the zoo. This was before we had an aquarium. So pretty much every day was different, and we just picked up where we were. We were a much smaller facility, and there would be like 3 or 4 keepers every single day. So you all just helped each other out. It was a lot of work. We didn't have time for much else other than cleaning and basic husbandry. So throughout the years, it's definitely grown. And then I got a full-time job here, and I was over maned wolf, giant anteater, meerkats, and wallabies when we used to have them. Then I had a child and went to the volunteer department to take a few years break. And then I came back, and I've been over quite a many animals. So like I said before, I like the Science Center because it's always changing and I get to work with new animals all the time. So whenever there's an opportunity, if I'm like, I think I'd like to work with that, if it's a new animal, I usually go and try to work with it. So that's been very exciting that I have that opportunity. So if you name it, I've probably worked it here.
Nice. Very cool. And how old's your kiddo now?
She is 7.
Okay, cool. I have an 8-year-old son.
Oh, okay.
Has she gotten to, fall in love with animals through all of this?
We have a red panda shrine in her room.
Nice.
Of Ravis and Ushas and all sorts of things. So red pandas are definitely her favorite.
Yeah, Miles is too. I have corrupted him.
Good. As it should be. Oh, yeah. If you follow our Instagram, she was the first one that did our red panda Ravi Welcome to the World drawings.
Yeah.
Hers was the first one. Bekah posted it on social media, and I think we've gotten 300. They're decorating the panda back area.
That's
I couldn't keep
so
all of
awesome.
them, but we still have hundreds.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we got them from all over the world, and I cherish them. So that was awesome.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. So in your time here seeing this place grow, what has that meant to you?
Well, the Science Center means a lot to me because I grew up coming here. It's been really hard because you see people leave that have been here forever too. And it kind of feels like your family is leaving when they're retiring or going on to another facility. So I love the volunteers here. I love my staff members because we're a smaller facility. I feel like we're a lot closer because we all eat lunch together. We all go out after work together. We get along really well. Even department wise, like all the different departments get together a lot. So I love that about working here. And then just seeing this place grow. Like I remember when this was this and now it's this. And what's been really nice is our directors and curators are really good about taking giving, I can give them feedback about what if we do this. And a lot of times they'll listen. So that's really helpful because you can kind of see your ideas get put into motion. So that's been really nice.
That's really cool. I always say that my two favorite types of zoos are that I really love big zoos because they have all kinds of really cool stuff and like it's amazing what they do. And I really love small zoos. And I realize that basically covers all the zoos. But because of all the stuff you said, but I have to say, I think if I was going to work at a zoo, I think I would rather work somewhere like this where you have that connectedness and where you have that ability. You know, sometimes I'm very good friends with people that have been on my podcast that I talk to literally daily now as I've gotten to know them who are at amazing facilities and doing, by the way, amazing work. You know, I would never take that away, but who feel not heard and who feel like, you know, oh, I have to go through 30 layers to get, you know, I thought it was cool when we were meeting, you brought Bekah, you know, who was able to set this up. And it was not like, you know, and it's fine. I don't mind doing it, but I've literally had times where it's like, hey, John, here are the 7 people that you need to email to get approval technically before I can even meet you. So please don't tell them that you ran into me at the Panda exhibit and we talked. And I'm like, okay. I respect it. Every facility is different. It's all good. It's all good.
Exactly.
But I love that you're just like, I brought Bekah. And I'm like, hi. Am I in trouble? Hopefully not.
No, Bekah's great.
Yes, no, clearly. But I think that's really cool. And let's talk a little bit about the whole new, I mean, I say new, it's not new anymore. I know y'all are already looking to move forward. Bekah has told me things. But this huge expansion that y'all underwent, where you can see okapi and red pandas and not binturongs, because if you could, then I would have known they were here. He says with no bitterness at all. But anyway, talk about it and you know, I mean, I know that y'all weren't personally like the ones who planned it or anything, but especially at a facility this size, I'm guessing you have a lot of insight into what went into it and all of that stuff. So it opened in June of 2021. And it was built quite quickly. So it was part of our older zoo. And so that kind of sat abandoned for many years until we decided to build this Revolution Ridge is what we call it. Cause we're trying to do this parks district where we're kind of tying in the history of the ground where the Science Center is with the, Revolutionary War. So we called it Revolution Ridge. So we're kind of talking about animals and their fight against extinction, and their battle against that. So Glenn, our director, kind of looked at what the SSP needs, what is endangered, what needs more representation in zoos, and kind of went there. I love that so much. Sorry to interrupt,
No,
but like, I really love that. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Because at first, I think some of the ideas we were bouncing around with were, I forgot what they called it, Rainbow River Gorge, and we were all going to do colorful animals. So I think that's kind of where the cassowaries came from. We had still talked about okapi for a while. So some of our animals have continued on through the phases of our expansion, and then we landed on what the SSP needs and what animals are not well represented and who needs homes and that are endangered. So it's been really cool to kind of see what we've done, and we've had successful breeding, and we keep having successful breeding, and seeing these animals go off to other zoos and start their own breeding programs has been great.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I know I just announced on Zoo News like a week or two ago that you have a pygmy hippo pregnancy. Yes. That's exciting.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Long gestation.
I was going to say that's going to be a while though. Yeah.
Well, it's coming up. So
I was going to say
we're all the keepers have taken bets on when we think Holly will give birth, and I think we each put $1 in.
Nice.
Is that illegal? I don't know.
No. This is North Carolina. I don't think anything's illegal here.
Fine.
Come on.
Yeah. There you go.
before 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that's really exciting news. And so let's talk about some of the cats down by the pandas, the ones that I'm usually running past slightly because I'm trying to get the pandas. But it's a really cool setup. And surfals in particular are just, it's just so cool.
It's a huge exhibit. So they have a really large exhibit. They actually have indoor viewing to their holding space. So we didn't make it look like some of our other cats have indoor exhibits. This, you can see their holding space. You can see the corners and limited caging. We want to be obviously very transparent. This is what our holding spaces look like. They have ample space back there. They have 4 separate runs, and they actually, just like the pandas, have a really cool walkway overhead that guests love seeing them. The cats love to be above the guest, and you can see people are always looking up, watching the servals. We currently have a breeding pair of servals, Kira and Tut. They get along really well. So fingers crossed for us in the future.
I'm noticing a trend here.
I know.
Lots of breeding behavior at this zoo. That's very cool.
Revolutionary.
Yes. You should talk about the fishing cats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the fishing cats.
Okay, yeah. So we are very successful with fishing cats. They had an exhibit in the aquarium because our goal was to kind of not have a normal aquarium, have an aquarium that kind of showcased stuff that animals that live around water, not just in water. So our first exhibit used to be the fishing cats because they spend a lot of time in water. But as we learned more about them and we got them breeding, got more cats, we decided to make them a much larger outdoor space. And the fishing cats have it really nice now. They have a huge couple different ponds. They also have this giant off exhibit space, and then a really nice holding space with pools. I think we've had, let me count. We've had 1 angler, 2 girls. So we've had 4 fishing cats born here at the Science Center from our parents, Mako and Tallulah. And then we are recommended again to breed. So
nice.
Tallulah is an amazing mom. And when Mako and Tallulah are together, they're very comfortable with each other. So we've had a lot of success with Tallulah. So really appreciate good moms. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been lovely so far. And I know we're going to go, I don't know what we're doing. Bekah has been very coy, I have to tell you. But I know that we're going to go do some behind the scenes stuff and my listeners will be surprised. And frankly, so will I. But yeah, let's talk conservation. Are there any conservation organizations that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Go ahead. Okay. Well, you know which one I'm going to pick. It's the Red Panda Network. We have a conservation program here called Coins for Conservation. So I'm on the Conservation and Research Committee, which anyone, and I know Macy is on the research committee too, which is really cool because they kind of allow us to put forth our own organizations and then we all kind of vote on them. And then quarterly we get to change our conservation organizations. And I think it's 25 cents per person that comes in. They get a special coin and they get to pick out of the 3 conservation organizations which one they want to support. So I'm always putting Red Panda Network up there. Of course.
Nice.
We actually work really closely with Red Panda Network and we do a Red Panda Day in September where we give all of our money from our animal paintings that the pandas love to do to the Red Panda Network. So fingers crossed, I am applying for our conservation grant this year, and I'd love to go to Nepal and work with the Red Panda Network. So
yes,
fingers crossed for me.
I want you to do that, and I want you to come back on the pod and tell me about it.
I will definitely do that.
Yeah, I volunteer for Red Panda Network.
Yes.
I love them.
They're amazing.
I'm actually helping with zoo coordination for International Red Panda
cool.
Day this year, so we'll be talking or whatever.
For sure.
But sounds like you already have a good enough connection to Terrence directly that I might not get to help with that
Terrence
part. But yeah, Terrence Fleming, Red Panda Network, just an amazing human. Yeah, very cool. It's time now, don't you know? We've come to the end of the show, but there's one tale left to go. You're gonna laugh and say, oh no. It's time for the Rossifari poop story. Okay, so we have Javan Givens here, and our female mom, Javan Given Bella, she is something. She is super feisty, and she likes to test us. So if I was given, I would like to be her too. So in the winter, they obviously need to have access inside where it's heated. So we shift them around to clean. So they're in the run next to me, and I know they have a really large arm length and they can reach really far through. So I'm going through and I'm cleaning the run they're not in, and they're in the one next to me, and and I'm keeping an eye on her. And from the corner of my eye, I see she's coming over and kind of watching me. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of avoid her. And I'm walking out of the run. And there's a platform in the run that I'm in. She reaches through, grabs my hair, and pulls me into the platform that's right there because it's kind of between us.
full of poop. So I got a full face of Javin giving poop. Luckily, I was wearing my PPE, but still disgusting. And she seemed to really enjoy watching me fall into her own poop.
Nice. Well, thank you all so much for doing this. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been great.
Let's go do things.
Yes, the things.
You again?
Yep.
And I will edit these down. Of course, it won't be.
Kelly, wait.
yeah. If you want some soggy little grapes.
So now that we're on the ASMR side of the podcast, what did you feed him?
I am feeding him some chopped up grapes.
Are you such a good boy?
She's coming up top.
Oh, here she comes.
Look at that beauty.
Oh, she is stunning.
Crikey.
Here you go. You guys are just going through it.
Tie. 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 Oh my god. That was the cutest thing ever.
Like, I often take semen.
You are the most gorgeous panda. It's like, I don't care. Give me more grapes.
Yeah, I know.
More grapes?
That's my last
There was a
one.
conversation about grapes, maybe?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Anything for grapes.
Hi, gorgeous. Oh, you are beautiful. And that was very gentle. I'm not always used to the most gentle love from pandas. Yeah.
You can see she only has one claw on her front right.
Really?
Her mom overgroomed her. I guess it
Interesting.
runs in the family here.
Yeah.
She
Usha.
came from Calgary.
Usha doesn't know what cameras to look at.
I know. She's like, I'm a celebrity.
She said, I know I'm beautiful. Goodbye.
You guys need to feed me my biscuits now.
I'm just thinking about, I know you all talked about this perching, but I'm looking at it now.
It was terrible.
And I'm like, wow.
And it needs to be redone
How'd
already.
you get rid of some of these pieces, I'll take them.
Okay. I need to wrap them all because he's an old man now.
Oh, our favorite old man.
Aw.
How old is he?
He is 10.
Wow.
I don't know. He's 11. No, he's 10.
How old is he?
I don't do well with numbers.
By the time this episode comes out, probably 11.
Yeah, it's his
Give Maddie
birthday.
like 2 or 3 months more time.
Becca, why are you asking me these questions?
What about Usha?
I don't even know. They're all in late spring, early summer. So
Oh, yes.
But you know Ravi's birthday.
I do. June 20th. That
See how it
date
is?
sticks out in the head.
I see where the loyalties
I'm
lie.
sorry. I don't even know my dad's birthday.
Kelly, do you know your daughter's birthday?
Yes, sometimes I have to really think about it.
Oh my god.
I know. I'm not good with numbers.
Do you know my birthday?
I do.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
March 31st.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
You are all that matter.
Me and Ravi, all that matters.
He's like, where are my biscuits? Who are you people?
There are humans here. This panda's crawling over on top of me.
I know.
This is the best.
It's magical moment.
This is a really great enclosure. Like, I know we talked about it already in the interview, but being in here, what a well-designed
I know.
exhibit. There's
I
so much
know.
amazing perching. There is so much, like, natural enrichment opportunity here.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm not opposed to non-natural. Like, I love the stuffed animals that
Yes.
Ravi are playing with just as much, you know? But, dang, this is nice.
I know. All we
This
need
is
is that
really great.
second air-conditioned blockhouse. If you guys want to pay for it, that would be lovely. And everything would be great.
Yeah.
You can donate at greensboroscience.org.
That's actually good to know. I mean, I will say, I have had, listeners donate small and large amounts.
Seriously, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
greensboroscience.org. If you want it to go to a certain thing like red pandas, animal enrichment, anything like that, make sure it says restricted funds, and then whatever you want it to go to. So dive team, red panda, animal enrichment, okapi, ground hornbill, herpetarium.
This is awesome. What a great exhibit. This makes me happy.
Well, thank you.
Like, meeting animals is cool.
Yes.
It really is. I will never not love it. I am super
I know.
appreciative. Thank you for that. But more than that, being on exhibit with people who are clearly passionate about the animals, who clearly love the animals, and also being on exhibit on a great exhibit where I feel like the animals have freedom and have, like, you could just see how content and comfortable they are, and you can read that body language. That makes it 10 times more special. Meeting pandas is great, don't get me wrong, but it's the rest of it that leads it to, like, okay, I have goosebumps right now.
I think that also, how comfortable our animals are and our exhibits and everything, really, you can see it with how our breeding programs are going. With the pygmy hippos, the fishing cats, my Lord.
It never stops. But that's another thing that I really like, visiting other zoos and getting behind the scenes tours. Even though I see pandas every single day, meeting new keepers, seeing new spaces is so invigorating and makes you so excited about your job. So it makes a difference.
When I started this podcast, I had no clue what I was doing. I was winging it. I still am. That's besides the point. But what I did know and what I did realize, I stumbled upon very early on, that was really helpful, is that I, instead of making it an episode like, okay, this is my red panda episode, and then we're kind of done with red pandas, by making it about the individuals and about your connection to them, it's a different episode every time. Even if I've had, probably 30 some red pandas, 40 some red pandas by this point, and yet, in a year or 2 years, you do another breeding, Ravi's gone off somewhere else, maybe there's another panda here.
I know.
We could have a whole new conversation about your relationships, even if you're still the keeper here. Kelly's
going to be here forever.
Well, I'm Granny Kelly, so I'll be here.
It has turned into the gift that has kept on giving, because I think so many other podcasts are like, well, we did our red panda episode,
And you can never get enough of red pandas, for God's sake. They're the best.
All right, so let's start off by you telling me who you are.
My name is Kelly Rauch.
Ma'am, you are not Kelly.
I
what
am
are you doing?
the lead keeper of the red pandas.
Bekah, stop stealing my microphone.
I am Kelly Rauch.
Yeah,
That
you
is
are.
Bekah. I am, like they said, I am the lead keeper of red pandas here at the Science Center.
Yeah, and the last time that we were here, there were red pandas here, and now there are more red pandas here. So tell me everything.
We just keep having pandas. On May 26th of this year, we had 2 cubs, so we're very excited. So now we are up to 5 red pandas here at the Science Center.
Can I just say?
Here we go.
Can I just say that it's a little rude that Usha wouldn't let Holly have her moment with her baby? She had to upstage her literally 2 days later. Literally 2 days later.
Just a better animal. I'm sorry.
I mean, I agree. I think this is just amazing. Like, the run of births here is actually incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy this year.
I just keep coming back. It is not a quick drive, but there it is.
There it is.
And so tell me everything.
So they were born May 26th, and we had already talked to the species survival plan about what we were going to do if we were going to let Usha try this time. And we do have cameras on the den box. We just started noticing some more signs that she wasn't going to be a great mom again. So we did pull them for hand rearing after talking to the SSP, and they've been doing great. So our panda care team's kind of old pros after Ravi last year.
And I mean, Ravi is the most panda of any panda I've ever seen panda.
He is the most. He makes bad decisions because he's the most.
It's insane how much Ravi is the most. How are these two stacking up? Now, I understand they are little panty balls of floof right now, but are you getting any vibe about personalities?
I'm getting a lot of potato vibes right now. Their little personalities are starting to come out. Like, definitely the boy looks for his sister a lot and is very vocal when he can't find her. But I'm hoping in the next couple months we'll see a lot more from them. But right now they're just potatoes. And I love this stage too.
That's amazing. So the first time that I ever saw panda cubs, I was at the Cincinnati Zoo. And I was meeting Lynn, who's their rock star mom. And I knew that there were 2 cubs there who actually still live there, Audra and Lenore. And they were in the nest box. And the keeper was talking to me and she was like, look, we don't do this, but I know that you're a big fan of these guys. This was before the podcast or anything. This was not special treatment for John time. And she's like, do you want to try and see the cubs? And I was like, yes. Shockingly, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to open the door and we'll see. It's going to be a quick look, no photos, nothing. I'm like, okay, cool. And she goes, you're most likely going to see just 2 panting backs, because that is what they are doing. They're just sitting, panting, facing away from the door. And I was like, that's still more red panda cub than I've ever seen, And so she opens the door, and it was exactly as described, except they were facing forward. And there were just 2 little panting faces looking at me, and my heart shattered into 38 million people. Like, it was the most insane thing I had experienced at that time. It's so cute. So I have so many questions. So the decision is made to hand rear.
Yes.
Great. Super important decision. Let's not lose these goobs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you then go in and remove them? And how does Usha react to that?
So pretty much the den boxes are set up where there's a divider in between and there's doors on each side. So pretty much when we went in, she just moved forward and we calmly slid the divider in and took the babies. She kind of looked around for a little bit and immediately went back to eating and acted like nothing was happening. So it was actually really smooth this time. Ravi gave us a little bit more trouble.
Of course he did.
Yes, of course. Because he was like, but I think because Usha had more time with these babies, she was over it. I'll tell you that. So I think she appreciates us doing all the hard work for her.
That's awesome. And I think that's like, it skirts anthropomorphism a little bit, but it also isn't. Like, she clearly is not a good mom and does not want to be a good mom.
No,
but
she doesn't.
We need her genetics in the population. Her breeding is a very good thing.
Exactly.
So this is a great way to handle that situation.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's extremely rewarding. So
yeah, that is beyond amazing. They are such little perfect balls of floof. Yeah. And so the decision was made that y'all feed them in public, in behind a window, obviously. But how was that decision made? And how does the team feel about that?
So with Ravi, we did that too at about 30 days. So we knew we were probably going to do that with these 2. We like to be really transparent here. And if we're doing it, why not show and educate? So we always have an educator out front talking about our pandas and why we're doing the things we're doing, which I really like. I enjoy doing public feeds because if I'm going to do all this hard work, I want people to see it. And I think it's really exciting that most people don't get to see red pandas at this age and like what they're doing and how slowly they develop. So I think most of us are really excited about the public feeds and it goes really well. Everyone's really respectful. So we like that.
I'll tell you what they're not excited about.
Yeah.
Whenever I come up to them and I go, hey, can we do this live on TikTok?
I like live on TikTok. That's Sam.
Sam, who hasn't been on the podcast yet, but you just met, John.
Yes, she's awesome.
She's our vet tech. She did not want to do TikTok live. And then this year, whenever these 2 were born, she said, no TikTok live. And so I said, oh, you want to do TikTok lives? And then Kelly came to me and said, why don't we do them on Thursday? I'm not here on Fridays. So watch our TikTok.
Amazing. And so, yeah, I feel like one of the more interesting things to me too right now is that y'all have the bintlets and the pandlets, and I feel like they develop very differently.
It's night and day.
Yeah, because like the bintlets, like I think they were about 3.5 weeks old when I got to see them, and they are binturongs.
Yeah,
they were still like bottle feeding, but they are binturongs.
Yes.
They are climbing. they are binturongs. And pandas are not that. No. Is it interesting, like seeing and experiencing the difference?
Yes. So I got to help a little bit with the binturongs, knowing that maybe we would have to hand rear pandas. So I didn't do it too much, but just it is night and day. Like the pandas, their development is so slow, and I feel like binturongs after 2 weeks, like are ready to go. They're wild. They're climbing the trees. It's fine. Pandas are, like I said, they're just potatoes. So,
yeah, I find it so fascinating. So people, it constantly comes up. What are your favorite animals? And I have my big 4, and everyone knows what a red panda is, and everyone knows what a sea turtle is, and no one knows what a binturong or tree kangaroo are. Just none of them. And when people ask me like elevator pitch for a binturong, I just say picture a black red panda, only bigger.
Yes.
And I mean, that's very much not what they are, but like,
But
you know,
really.
it gets the start, you know. And yeah, so I don't know. I guess I've always, even though I know they're not related like at all, yeah, I don't know. I find that just so fascinating.
I know when I was helping with the binturongs, I thought we would have a good handle on it after Ravi. But yeah, they're just totally different and so much more advanced.
And speaking of Ravi, you mentioned that he's was last year's cub and just had a 1-year birthday party for him, right?
He did.
Yeah. How'd that go?
We made him a cake and had some enrichment for him, and everyone sang happy birthday. He didn't really appreciate his cake. As we know, pandas are very picky. But we tried, but he enjoyed his boxes. So that's all that matters.
Nice. And he's actually moving on. By the time this releases, may even already be gone.
Yes.
So I know that we like to leave it to the receiving facility to announce, but not going to be at Greensboro anymore. How you doing with that? That was the first cub you raised, right?
Yes, it was.
How you doing?
I think we're all like excited, but sad. It's kind of bittersweet. I'm definitely excited for him to be in some cold weather, see snow. His mood just completely changes when it's cold outside. So I think that's gonna be really good for him because he loves people so much. He wants to be outside where the people are. So it'll be nice for him to be in a colder weather situation where his dad came from, Ty. So it's bittersweet, but I'm excited for him. I'm glad we have other 2 pandas to raise also.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps a lot
Yeah.
because Ravi's just such a personality.
We love him.
Yeah. Like, it's funny, like, since I've started coming here recently, like with this mad dash of multiple visits, seeing Ravi the very first time and everything. I mean, I knew from social media, just how big of a personality Ravi has, but, I don't think you can really know exactly how big until you experience it. And even with all the cool, exciting new babies and everything here, when I realized he was leaving, it was like a hit. I was like, I want to be able to go see my buddy forever. But,
Yeah, I think a lot of our visitors and staff have really connected with him because he's such a big personality. Like especially before Ravi was born, people would see the pandas, they're sleeping like pandas do. So I think people have really connected with pandas after Ravi was born.
Yeah, he's an awesome ambassador for the species, for sure. Are you able to say if the move is a true breeding rec or just a population shift type thing right now? Because the SSP does both.
As far as I have been told, it is a breeding rec. Woo. So yeah, go Ravi.
Nice. That's very cool.
He's growing up. I know.
They grow up so fast. I can't say where yet on here, but there are 2 pandas that I've known for a while that got a breeding rec, and now and they just had cubs, and they're not announced yet, but they're very young pandas, like That's crazy. Year older than Ravi, basically.
Oh, weird.
And I'm like, no, they're still babies. This is weird. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm really anthropomorphizing, like to the degree where it's not okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, but no, the babies can't have babies.
I know, it's not right.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to tell people about this experience?
Kelly, what is your favorite thing about hand rearing pandas? You've done it technically 3 times now. I mean, I know it's only 2, but you've got 3 cubs. So what's your favorite thing? What's the most rewarding thing?
I think when you're in a crowd of people, like the whole panda exhibit is full of people, and Ravi looks out and can pick me out and does his little chittering and comes straight towards me, and everyone's like, oh, this is anthropomorphic, but he loves her. Look at that. Like, that is a really special moment that you're like, all that hard work paid off, and kind of just see a mostly normal panda living his best life. That's really exciting, and that's been really rewarding.
That's really cool. I want to take a moment to say this. We joke around a lot, and I know that it is part of the job and all of that too. But like, a red panda exists because of you and your team. And now 2 more get a chance to exist because of you and your team. And first of all, thank you for that. And second of all, don't ever lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Because it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like, it really is a magical thing,
Yeah.
I think it's very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm like feeding this red panda and it's late at night and I'm thinking this is an endangered species and there's just a few thousand left in the wild, that's when it kind of hits home that this is a big moment. And it's kind of career defining. So it's not ideal, but like I said, it's career defining and exciting.
Very cool. Let's completely ruin the mood. Got a poop
Let's do
story?
it.
Poop story for me?
Oh. So if anyone knows pandas, they know they poop a lot. Like constantly. It's unbelievable. In our old panda exhibit, it was actually built for lorikeets. It actually has our trumpeter hornbills in it now, but there's some rock work up on the top that has it was built to be a waterfall and it has this perfect divot and pandas like to poop up high. And so we could only get up there every few weeks because it was pretty inaccessible and it took a long time. And the amount of poop that would rain down on your body while you're on this 12-foot ladder and you're trying to clean up. I mean, the poop would be like 4 feet. It's just terrible. So that's my poop story.
Poop story.
Pandas poop a lot.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thanks for reconnecting here. I really appreciate
Thank you.
Let's go watch a panda feeding.
Yes, let's do it.
And so there we were, just, a couple inches away from baby red pandas getting fed. It was amazing. They are adorable. They are incredible. I was so happy. And then, as if that wasn't sweet enough, Bekah and Kelly surprised me by taking me over to the panda habitat and letting me meet and hang out with Ravi. Now, we've talked before on this podcast about how relationships can change things. And initially, when I met Usha and Ty, it was just like, very cool to hang out with them. But I was told that meeting Ravi isn't the best idea because Ravi gets very hyper, as you heard talked about in this episode. And, pandas, claws, etc. So, now that they knew me better, though, they just kind of were like, yeah, here, don't get stabbed and die. And so I didn't. And I'm kidding for everyone listening. They were much more careful than that. But I got to go hang out with Ravi, and he is as sweet and playful as can be. And the boy is always scheming. Bekah turned her back for half a second and spun around so fast. And I was like, no, I know what you're doing. And he was making his move. He was making his move to go climb on Bekah's back. It was really funny. And it was just really special. So all of this was really, really special. And, there's a whole nother episode coming next week. And then there will be more episodes in season 4. But next week, you're going to get to hear more from Macy, as well as still hearing the humor from Bekah and Kelly. And you're going to hear some other really amazing animal encounters, including... Well, let's just say that in 3 seasons, I've always been very proud of my season finales, but I've never actually been able to have like a dramatic television style season ending because, well, it's a podcast about zoos and animals and zookeepers. So what the heck could I do there? But y'all, this time we've pulled it off. So tune in next week to find out the big season 3 ending of Rossifari. I would like to thank everyone at the Greensboro Science Center for being so amazing. And I would like to say thank you to Laura Schenk, Kristen Dickey, and Stephen Williamson, my Red Panda level patrons, and to all of my patrons. Please remember that you can support the podcast for as little as $3 a month by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. Doing so helps me do crazy stuff like this, where I travel to a facility 3 times to put a couple of interviews together. So I hope you all enjoyed this one, and we'll see you back here on Friday for Zoo News, and then next week to end season 3 of the podcast. Remember, friends, the word credits backwards is Steiderk. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.